it's hot, it's hot, it's hot. Baby girl now.
I don't know, I want to make a jam just to kind of get everybody feeling all the gratitude that I have towards you stopping by and you actually promoting this sister and actually making my content worth the time and effort that goes into making them. Thank you very much for stopping by. My name is Beth. A lot of people call me B, and I'm the African Storyteller. And if you've already subscribed, thank you very much. If you haven't done it yet, please. Thank you. Today we're going to talk about something that causes a lot of discomfort. A lot of people would rather not do it. And most people don't know how to approach it. And I find that because parenting doesn't come with a manual, which by now it should with all the technology that we have going on, but it doesn't yet come with a manual. So most parents don't really know how to broach the subject, when to broach the subject, how to, and if they could, they delegate it every single time. And so I thought I'd make this video, and this video is meant for parents who are wondering, how do I talk to my teenager about sex? It's uncomfortable. And to teenagers who are wondering, how do I invite my mom into having a conversation with me, or my dad into having a conversation with me about sex? I do not know many people who have it with both their parents. It would be weird. When you're a son, you're a boy, you want to do it with your dad. If you're a guy, you want to do it with your mom. They kind of know how it works for at least, you know, the female and the male. So I think it's extremely important to have these conversations because sex, there are a lot of things attached to sex that are not healthy. And I think for most people, there have been either no lessons or bad lessons or toxic lessons about sex. And these then lead on into a life of either wrong practices, accepting things that you shouldn't accept, and just kind of it's you know, you're just out there kind of navigating and just groping in the dark. You're like, oh, I don't know what I like, I don't know what that is, I don't know, I can't find okay, I guess I'll do that. I think it's a wrong approach to living and to, you know, for something that has, you know, information that is very simple to get your hands on and to be very, to know the facts about and deal with all the adults in our lives. We each should be able to get some solid, useful sex education. So when you do when you have this conversation, I think it should begin from the moment your child is able to speak. Small things, little lessons about private parts, taking care of yourself, giving consent, how to address things, how to talk about, you know, your body, how to, you know, inviting children to tell you when they have discomfort or when somebody has done something to them that they are very uncomfortable with. So you should do it over a period of time. From the time that child is able to talk all the way to the day they're like, Mom, Dad, you. Oh, that is disgusting. There comes a point in time where you don't want to talk to your parents about sex anymore. That is when, as a parent, you're like, job done. Moving on into the next phase of being a parent. Or just, now I can breathe again. But the one I really am concerned about is the big talk. That you want to sit your teenager down and have a conversation with. At the onset of teens, a lot of things are happening in your child's body. Their hormones, their bodies are changing, they're experiencing a lot of things, they're balancing so much. And it is the best time, I think, to have a big sex conversation with them. And there should be another one that you should have with your child just before college, because that is a whole other phase of sex and sex education. But I think the one I'm really concerned about and the one that I'm most passionate about is the one that you should have with your teenager at the onset of teens. So 13, 14 years old, that would be a good time to have a conversation with your child about sex. The first thing you want to do is you want to find a good moment to have a conversation with your child about sex. Do not pick the moment where you find your daughter smiling and giggling and, playing with your hair while she's looking at a boy, or when you find your son holding hands with a girl in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, and you drag them in the house and you say, how dare you? This is bad. And then you give them all, you kind of make it such a negative experience for them. You need to find a moment that is positive. I've personally got my sex education from 3 sources: my mom, school, and life. In school, sex education idea for the Kenyan curriculum at that point, I don't know what was going on. I don't think it was forced by the government, but schools just picked up this trend where they would show us videos of sexually transmitted diseases, all those hanging, rotting body parts and all those, and then they would try to scare us into not partaking in sexual activity. And I think that's a horrid, I'm sure for sensitive people, there's some people who are still traumatized by those videos, because you'd sit in the hole for an hour, 2 hours just looking at rotting and dying body parts because of people who engaged in unprotected sex, HIV, AIDS, gonorrhea, syphilis. And it was a horrid experience. And that is the first, that was, I think, my first source. And the second one was my mom. My mom, after my dad died, I was 13 and a half maybe, and my mom sat me down and she said, Beth, we need to have a conversation. And you're now a big girl, and I would like for you to understand a few things. So how many siblings do you have? I said, 4. I said, so I have 5 children. I said, yeah, ma. She said, where's your father? I said, in the grave. She said, okay, so I'm on my own, right? I said, yes, ma. So what do I do for a living? I said, you're a government school teacher. She said, do I make a ton of money according to you? I said, no. We struggle to keep it together, but I don't think we have a lot of extra money. She said, good. And she said, I just lost your father. I'm not in the best position to take on any more pressure or any more, if something were to happen, I don't think I can handle it. And I would like for you to know that boys are not good people. If you start playing around with boys, Beth, you're going to get pregnant. And you know what will happen when you get pregnant? I'm not going to be here to deal with it. I will not. So you need to stay away from boys, and you need to keep your legs together and keep yourself safe. I said, yes, mom. Now, the thing about my mother is, my mom is made of otherworldly stuff. My mom is a tough woman. She loves, but she knows only one kind of love. Tough love. I never seen my mom make a threat my entire life. My mom only made promises. And my mom said, Beth, if you do A, I'm gonna be you. Trust me, when you A, she's gonna be right there to be you. And she really will be the light out of you. And she always delivered on whatever threats that she made. After a while, I figured my mom does not make threats, my mom only makes promises. She delivers on each one of those. So I did not mess with my mom. I was like, boys are bad. Beth, stay away from them boys. Keep yourself together. And I did for as long as I did. And the third source was life. And because I never really had a thorough conversation with my mother about sex or any of the adults that I trusted in my life, I therefore ended up, just kind of my own. And as always, life delivers the lessons in a rather harsh manner. A lot of mistakes, a lot of goofs, a lot of oopses, a lot of I wish I knew, shouldn't have, I could have trusted, I didn't, whatever. And so life becomes your source of knowledge, and it is not the best experience, and especially if you have adults in your life that love and care for you. So this is not to I hope Ma, I love you, you're an amazing woman, everybody knows I like amazing mom, but this is the one thing that I think as a parent, there's no manual. You kind of just walk through, and especially for the generation my mom came from. And I'm not trying to excuse or or defend or anything. I'm just saying I can't imagine my grandma gave her proper sex education in my culture. Some cultures are very free with these things, but then she also didn't give me that. And over time, then I had to learn things from my friends and overhear things and see things, and that's how I learned. But I feel like even my generation is still held back from passing knowledge on in a comfortable and effective way. So once you pick a moment with your child and they are kind of open to it, because teenagers they don't want to have a conversation with you, I'll tell you that much. Teenagers think you're old, you're ancient, you're a fossil, you belong in a museum. There's nothing you can tell them that is cool enough or hip enough. As long as you're 20 and above, oh my God, you're so old, this is so boring, what do you know? I don't know why teens love frying their voice, but oh my God, it's gonna happen a lot. So they already think you're not cool. Finding a moment that is gonna actually be appropriate and kind of find a little crack to get into there and have their attention is not easy. So do not get ready when you see the opportunity. You don't get ready, honey. You stay ready. From the moment you give birth to a child, start figuring it out in your head. Oh man, what am I gonna say? How am I gonna say? Blah blah blah. Have your shit together so that when your child finally you find that little moment, you're ready. If you're looking now, people are so ready with the like, I'm super impressed with some people when they are just get a second, they're like getting in there and passing wisdom. Be that person. Be ready. Stay ready. The second thing you want to do after you find that crack and get in and you want to give this education, make sure that you do not demonize sex, because it is not a bad thing. Do not be the person who only points out the STDs and the pregnancies and all the heartache and all that. Be the person that gives good information about sex. So keep in the back of your mind that you're not going to demonize sex, and try not to glorify it either. Yeah, just give plain old information and let your teenager kind of process it and fit things how they want to in their head and in their mind and in their life. Third thing you want to do is be honest. Be honest about what you know. Teach them the truth as far as you know. And if they ask a question that you can't respond to or you're uncomfortable with, please tell them you don't know. I do this with my students all the time. Miss, what is this? What is the... if I don't know, be like, oh yeah, that's a good question. I don't know what the response to that is. I'm going to try and find out. I'll hit you with the response in our next class. Or, oh man, this is like, let's find the answer together. And you take that as a learning experience for everybody, where you're also teaching your students or your child how to use the internet in a safe and effective way. Don't go on just directly find scholarly sites or, whatever. At the end of this video, when I'm editing, I'll add sites in the description where you can actually go and find really well done information on sex for teenagers, so that you find reliable sources for information. Teach them research skills while you're doing it. What is safe on the internet to consider good information on sex, and what is not very useful or good information on that. So be honest. I know this, I don't know that, but you know what, let's take it as a learning opportunity and learn together. They're gonna appreciate that. They're gonna think you're dope. You're the cool shit. You're the shit. And then the fourth thing you want to do is be direct. Do not frou-frou. Do not talk about things in terms of apples and bees, and I don't know what people are saying when they're saying. Like, use proper terminology for body parts. Use accurate scientific information to explain things. And also talk about other things that are involved in sex other than the physical part of it. Talk about the emotional connection, the psychological effect. And this is gonna, I think, in the teens' mind, be able to figure out what's right, what's wrong, because these are not things that are out there. Like, people need to create their own rights and wrongs, and this is only if you give them the right information. And they're like, okay, if this is the truth and that is the truth, then I guess this is wrong. So talk about pregnancy in a factual way, about sexually transmitted diseases in a factual way. Talk about the emotions that are connected with sex in an effective way, and just kind of show them that sex is it's a rounded experience that involves a lot of things, but do it directly. do not try to frou-frou your way out of this. Yeah, it's gonna just fall flat, or there are going to be a lot of gaps of misunderstanding where you're saying one thing but your child in their head they're imagining something else, as opposed to this is the truth, this is the scientific fact, these are tangibles, and we can all agree, or you can look this up, and these are going to remain this way. These are just the facts of sex. And then you want to move beyond the facts when you're talking about sex to your children. Also, other than just giving them accurate information, which you should, talk about feelings, love and this, and talk about their hormones as far as you understand. Or, when you're a teenager, your body behaves this way, you react this way, but you really want to think this through, and you really want to do that. And, these are the attitude that you should keep during this process. And this is how you should be able to handle whenever you feel overwhelmed with this urge or that feeling or that thought. Maybe you want to do this or do this or that or do that. So kind of teach them other things. This is the best time for you to infuse your own experience. Parents think if they do not talk about their mistakes to their children will think they are perfect. No, the opposite. If your child doesn't think you've lived, your child is not going to trust you with life questions. They're going to be like, I'm a mom anyway, it's just a stay-at-home mom, and she's only been married to my dad, and she only cooks and cleans and takes care of us, and watches a lot of Netflix. What would she possibly know? As opposed to when you show your children and you tell them stories of yourself, and of course, appropriately. Don't go crazy now. Come on now. They're only 13, 14, 15, okay? You want to make sure that appropriately you're able to share some of your experiences that they can connect to. So when I was a teenager, this is what happens, and this is how I felt. When I started developing breasts, I started hunching over, and it was a very uncomfortable experience because I felt they just abnormal, and I didn't want this, and I felt like everybody was staring at them, even though they weren't. And telling your child this story is probably going to make them feel like, oh, so this is like it happens to other people too, like, all right, I guess I can straighten up. Let the rest of the world adjust. I can't change for them. To 7 point something billion people, I can probably please all of them. They're going to have to adjust to me and who I am. So giving your child your own examples build their confidence in themselves and in you. So you might want to keep that in mind. And finally, keep an opening for further conversation. Don't close it off. Make sure your children know they can come back to you with questions, with this and that, and you will be able to address them in a nice, honest, and direct way. And at that point, also invite questions and curiosities. And teenagers are quite, brazen these days, and they'll ask questions that you may not be ready for. But just in the back of your mind, start thinking, what if my children, if I'm talking to my child, and they start asking you, Mom, Dad, how do I know I'm ready for sex? Do you have a response for that? Or how do I know a healthy and an unhealthy relationship? What is consent? What involves consent? Is it only a yes or no? Or if I'm like, like this, is that part of saying I do not agree to this? So leave me alone. Should I use my word? Should I use my fist? Should I use, what does consent look like? And what is appropriate and inappropriate? What should I expect and what shouldn't I stand for? And this can be subjective sometimes. So you want to let them know that it depends. You have to use your instinct, and you have to see how you feel about things, and you have to judge this and remember all of this information at the back of your mind before you decide what feels right and what doesn't feel right to you. Nowadays, if kids show up and they're like, what if I'm gay? You didn't think of that, did you? All of us think we're going to give birth to children. They're not going to go through any of these difficulties, and my children are going to, they'll be fine, they'll be straight, they'll fit in, they'll be accepted by society. But no, people give birth to gay kids all the time. What if your child is that? Are you open-minded enough to guide them through that and give them useful information and protect them? And I feel like most parents deny gay children because of this. They never, ever in their life imagine they would have gay children. And so start putting those things into consideration. Open your mind to it. And, have your children, allow them the allow them the opening to ask you these questions, and tell them, whenever you have a question, honey, please come to me. I've seen some parents say, honey, if you ever feel the urge to do this, or you ever feel pressured to do that, please talk to me. I will not be judgmental. I'll not be upset. I will not punish you. I will listen and we will figure it out. I just want to know, and I want to know, of course, you don't want to know all the nitty-gritty details of what other people are doing in their private life, but it's your child, and as long as they're under 21, you need to take some responsibility for what they do and how they do it and whatever. And that came up so wrong, but you know what I mean. You want to make sure that they're educated enough. So this was just trying to highlight the essentials, that it's a long life lesson, or as long as the kids need it. You need to find the perfect time to do it. Do not demonize it. Be direct. Be honest. Tell them other things that are not just factual, but keep your information accurate. And invite and allow them to come back for further conversation. So I hope this has been helpful. Thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. And ding, notification bell, hit on that as well. Thank you, and I will see you in my next video. Yeah, take care. Bye. Cheers.